One 500 million pound nuclear-powered submarine. Stealthy, silent, and deadly.
Stand by to fire. Fire!
5 elite submariners hungry for command. And one no-nonsense examiner known as teacher.
Come on!
You need to get this sussed now. And if you think that's good enough, I will start taking charge.
This is the world's toughest command course.
Right, raise the attack.
I am not convinced that you guys have actually grasped that.
They call it the Perisher.
Attack, ship control, contact is continuity charge made.
If they succeed, these young officers will go on to command one of the world's most lethal military machines. But if they fail, their underwater careers will be over.
You haven't seen nothing yet, trust me.
The 5 Perisher students have now completed the first of 4 weeks of their crucial sea trials.
14 minutes.
Watching their every move, teacher Jim Perks can fail them at any time.
It's not an easy course to pass. I'm the guy that says at the end of the day whether they've passed or failed.
In the intense eyes-only drills, they've been playing chicken with charging warships, where one bad mistake could cause a fatal collision. And in a secret location, the students had to work together to board Daredevil specialist troops. These are experienced submarine officers, but there's nothing quite like taking command of a real nuclear submarine and its 130 crew.
Command approved.
32-year-old David Filtness, known as Filthy, has had a mixed start to the course.
Range is 8,300 yards.
Under constant pressure from teacher.
Look interval is 5 minutes 55 seconds.
No!
Green 5, which is right ahead. 12 starboard. Get them right hand. Let's have a speed race. Tack.
Intense Jeff Fillmore from Northern Ireland has been firing on all cylinders.
20 minutes, red 2-1. 4,000 yards, 2 minutes 20 seconds. 5,600 yards, 1,900 yards, 2,500 yards. Look at the roll.
But sometimes he simply needs to slow down.
200 yards.
Typical submariner, unfit. No, it's just you got to throw that master around from side to side. 10 seconds to get from one to the other, plus a little bit just to do the mental maths.
American Dan Reese faces the extra challenge of adapting to British submarine tactics.
Half air revolutions 50, 10 down, keep 30 metres, midships down or mast.
And that's already caused him problems.
He knew it was close, he just didn't realise how close it was.
English Dan Martin has had the best start, showing the air and confidence of one born to command.
I'm going to come further right. My priority now, whilst we know that the 23's opening, is counter-detection from the sonar. Come right, 350. Doesn't matter how well you've done before, one massive or one bad safety-related issue, and you could be off the course.
Gareth Ragg, oily to his shipmates, is the youngest on the course and has been struggling with the reality of commanding a real nuclear submarine.
I don't think any of us have quite grasped how different it's going to be. Being in the trainer was somewhere actually we got quite comfortable after 3 months, and then we came on the submarine. The periscope's heavier and not quite as easy to use, the one in the trainer, and you're obviously dealing with all the complexities of a nuclear submarine.
Now the Perisher course gets even harder. So far, the students have been dodging the enemy in deep open sea. In the next few days, they've got to prove their ability to operate in perilously confined, shallow waters. With the next phase just hours away, Jim, as usual, is very clear about what he expects.
You're starting to take charge of your own destiny. Things are happening without me asking. I want to see more of that. You've only got just over 2 weeks left now. I start shutting up, and I'll sit back. If it doesn't happen, it's your fault.
HMS Triumph is now heading away from Scotland to the coast of Northern Ireland. Although 70% of the world's surface is covered by sea, submarines increasingly provide support to land forces close to shore often in very shallow waters. Inshore operation of submarines was developed during the World Wars, most famously by the German Navy.
Off the coasts of Ireland, along the vital westerly approaches to the British Isles, the U-boats lie in waiting, 4, 5, and 6 of them together.
Spying, laying mines and setting ambushes. Thousands of tons of Allied shipping were sunk by the U-boats. Today, nuclear submarines, capable of staying submerged almost indefinitely, spend much of their time lurking in the shallows, with the ability to conduct reconnaissance, deliver and recover specialist forces, and launch attacks on land-based targets. But these important capabilities come with a very real danger of running aground. On board HMS Triumph, the students have begun their first inshore operation.
On that last bearings he's made, you current range of 3,000 yards.
Their mission is to take periscope photos of a lighthouse without being detected by enemy forces and without running aground.
Please attack slow.
On deck, please attack slow.
The focal point, as usual, is Triumph's control room, equipped with periscopes, navigation systems, and sonar.
10 degrees either side out to a...
English Dan is first up as duty captain, taking overall command and responsible for strategy.
Look, due to the state of visibility. End of brief.
Filthy is in charge of executing that strategy as attack coordinator.
Take contact inside for 3,000 yards. He's made not seen that one.
Any little mistake will be recorded in Teacher Jim's notebook, and he can change the scenario at any time to test his students.
I can add a lot of pressure during that phase, see how they react.
Can we get closer to try and see the safe to come in to...
Jeff, in charge of navigation, is also under scrutiny.
I'm being slightly further north, look at the same range.
1 minute left on the all-round look. I'll conduct an all-round.
He has to chart a course which not only avoids obstacles to his left and right and fore and aft, but also, crucially, above and below the submarine.
On getting the alert sounding, it tells me to come hard right, steer 340 and exit through the gaps.
So he has to think in 3D, maneuvering an 86-meter long, 10-meter high vessel in waters as shallow as 45 meters.
Take. Too shallow. Too shallow.
On.
Take. More shallow.
On.
Take.
Next shot, last shot. On.
Take. Changing card.
The three students have made a good start, collecting their first reconnaissance pictures.
Just able to make out the structure. Light visual as well, no unusual activity.
All positions, G Captain, that's the fault recovery now complete. My intention now is to focus our attention on getting on to our next task, the red base sensor drop. End of brief.
40, 3 up.
But Dan's cold, authoritative command style is now under fire.
It's to motivate your team. Praise when it's due. Right, fellas, that's the perifot done. We're now going to evade. Well done. First one done. Safely. Out we go.
Also the search periscope.
As they prepare for their next reconnaissance task, danger is brewing up above. One of the world's most potent anti-submarine surface vessels is bearing down on them.
We're operating in very confined waters, sometimes only 15 meters of water beneath us, very close to land with hostile warships, and a lot of helicopters are going to turn up, all transmitting and all have approval to attack us. So if they get caught, they will get attacked.
The parachute students are operating in shallow water, where they risk running aground. But the greatest danger is now up above. HMS Monmouth is a Type 23 anti-submarine frigate. Her formidable armory includes speed, agility, and wide engines to creep up on her enemies. But most importantly, powerful underwater sonar and weapons.
Course is still the same.
But the ops room will be using the sonar, using the radar, using our thermal imager in the hope of getting any sniff of where he may be.
There's nothing Commander Tony Long relishes more than proving his ship's capabilities against a submarine.
The idea is that the students have got to take some intelligence runs against various geographical features, and we just need to be in the vicinity to cause them maximum trouble. Of course, I don't want to just mill around, I want to find the submarine myself. It's a game of chess, really.
Down below, the test for the parachute students is to evade the Monmouth whilst pursuing their reconnaissance mission.
Let's get the boy reported.
American Dan Reese takes over as attack coordinator.
Pay attention to Lieutenant Commander Reese is AC.
But high waves are making his visibility through the periscope very poor.
Continue to the northwest. Priority remains detection on the 23.
Exploiting the poor visibility and her quiet engines, Monmouth has caught the students by surprise.
That sector is doing 10 knots.
Okay, gentlemen, the Type 23, past 1,000 yards, the CPA did not hold us. He is quiet. That is not good that he's 1,000 yards and didn't see us. Carry on.
Too close. They should have either gone deep or watered away once they'd picked this 23 up on sonar.
But it's not just a frigate trying to blow their cover and destroy them. Monmouth is joined by another powerful submarine hunter, a Merlin helicopter.
I'm an observer, so I'm the navigator and tactician in the aircraft. And Griff next to me is the air crewman who is primarily looking at the sonars to help locate the sub. What's your X-ray, Seagull?
Flying at up to 150 knots, the Merlin crew can search large areas quickly.
You'll basically decide exactly where we position the aircraft, and then it's over to me really once we're in the dip to try and locate the submarine.
Using her sonar buoys and dipping sonar, they can detect underwater activity down to a depth of 600 meters.
If they get themselves into the right position, get the feel for the water, they'll pin the submarine down very quickly.
Back on the Triumph, the students are all too aware of the threat above.
Halo visual. Green 170. Moving left to right, far. Okay, gentlemen, we have indications that the Merlin is in transit, is not dipping, but we do have one buoy in the area. He's looking upslope. It says the risk will be low for counter detection at this point.
When the Merlin dips its sonar device into the sea, it can either listen passively for sounds of the sub or send out active pings. Like radar, these bounce back most strongly off a hard, solid object like a submarine.
Yeah, it's really strong audio return. It's right next to that wreck though, which is...
Because Triumph is hiding near a reef, which also reflects the sonar,
Okay.
the Merlin can't be sure she's there.
Kind of getting a bit of an audio return off the contour, but not the type of return you expect from the submarine on that.
To remain undetected, it's essential the Triumph remains silent. Even loud voices could be heard by the Merlin.
Keep the noise down, Chief. Keep the noise down, Chief.
One of teacher's little tricks.
I have the gun! I have the gun!
Jim's decided to throw a spanner into the works.
I want to divest submarine boys. Bring him inside. I want the gun! Get me! I have taken...
He's conjured up a volatile crew member, determined to noisily take over the whole submarine.
Who's in charge? Give me the gun!
When 130 people spend months together in a submarine, tensions mount, and crew members can flip without warning.
Come in.
They made the right call piping for the coxswain. They shouldn't have started engaging him in the control room, asking what his demands were. They should have got rid quickly and safely.
Order restored, the perishers have a new mission: to drop 2 sets of reconnaissance sensors. Filthy's now in command, and he has a plan.
Okay, gents, we've made our way up to the vicinity of Red Bay, and we're here early, quite deliberately. My priority now is to take this opportunity to conduct a visit sweep across Red Bay, report the intelligence in the bay before closing in towards our sensor drop position.
2 decks below, in the bomb shop, preparations are underway for a simulated sensor launch.
It's part of the parachute training that we're laying sensors in shipping lanes, so obviously we can gather an intelligence.
Sensors are deployed from the same tubes that are used to fire torpedoes. The system uses high-pressure air to create a water ram, which forces itself into the tube and squeezes the weapon out, a bit like a bar of soap from your hands.
This is a tube control panel. Hydraulically operates. The back caps of flap valves maintain water integrity within the tube.
It's done by 15 seconds time.
Open 3-tube flap valve, select to fire 3-tube.
This is a manual launch, but sensors or torpedoes can also be fired remotely from the control room.
Discharge correct 2-tube. Shut 2-tube flap valve.
All positions, duty captain brief. We've achieved the first stick. The command priority now has achieved the second stick of sensors, which we'll do early in 2 minutes' time. My contact of interest.
With the first sensor drop completed, Filthy's duty captain shift is going well.
We'll go for a second setup on this contact and then make considerations for evasion out to the northeast.
His attack coordinator, American Dan, has also impressed. But the visibility above has got even worse.
Cut!
Dan thinks he spotted a warship at long range. But he's mistaken.
Close aboard trawler, that bearing, not a warship.
It's not a distant warship, it's a fishing trawler.
That bearing, revolution's 50, 10 down, keep 30 meters.
Dan takes the submarine deep.
Hang on, you see the trawler? I believe it's a trawler directly astern of us. Why are we going deep then? About 2,000 yards.
Right. Reverse the plane.
Reverse plane.
All positions, duty captain.
It's the wrong decision.
All positions, duty captain. AC's just seen a possible fishing vessel 2,000 yards astern. Priority is now fishing vessel safety.
Jim orders the submarine to surface immediately.
Raise, rotate, and operate radar. Ship control, stand by to service.
American Dan's decision to dive has broken strict British naval rules drawn up to eliminate the risk of submarines snagging nets and dragging trawlers underwater. The rules were established after a tragic accident in 1990.
Panel, with a 2-second load, all main ballast tanks.
Triumph Weapons Officer Alfie Bass was on board the submarine involved, HMS Trenchant.
We're actually doing perisher, as we're doing now, and unfortunately we caught a fishing boat's lines. You could hear the scraping down the side of these fishing lines. And in on-surfacing, we knew something was wrong. We went onto the casing and you could see the fishing line was caught around a piece of equipment on the submarine casing.
On the surface, open up.
The following morning, we then learnt that a fishing vessel, the Antares, hadn't returned to its home port. And all on board perished. There's always downsides to being a submariner, and events which sometimes shock you and make you look at yourself a bit more.
We now have a very, very clear set of rules which we have to obey. No room for interpretation in Minatory, and that's what happened there. We drill it quite frequently on board. What happens if we come across a fishing vessel? And it was good for me to see. I was at the back of the control room. It was good for me to see my team responding in exactly the right way.
Okay, listen out in the control room. Well done, guys. That was a nice drill, getting us back on the roof safely. Just settle down on the surface now and get ready to dive again.
Fortunately, on this occasion, the trawler was kept at a safe distance and was not using its nets. But a safety error like this could cost Dan dear.
My initial reaction was to proceed deep to provide safety from him, essentially, which is what we're trained to do in my Navy, to provide, if you have adequate depth, to go deep under him. However, I am trained by the Royal Navy and I am expected to know the Royal Navy standards, so should execute to the Royal Navy standards and follow the laws. So that'll be up to teacher.
HMS Triumph heads north to the next reconnaissance target. But this time, the Monmouth and Merlin are already lying in wait.
Eagle 1 now.
We count red 6-0.
Hot, and we remain cold.
Now, see that head. We've taken a new position as a backstop between her last known position and her target that she's heading for, the Mull of Kintyre Light. The student has got a problem here at the moment. He's trying to evade the helicopter and the ship. Does he try and get through the barrier to take the photograph? Does he hide up here? So we're back to stalemate, if you like, in the cat and mouse game.
Range is 1,300 yards. We've got an indication of speed from the sound room. Still below 10 knots on happy.
On board Triumph, Jeff takes over as duty captain and is soon under fire from teacher.
Okay.
I'm happy at the moment, 1,300.
Why are you still here?
He's happy he's got 30 starboard
Why
on
are
him.
you still here? Do you need to be at PD? Have you achieved your aim?
I want to get closer.
Fake.
I want to get closer to the lighthouse.
Don't get bounced.
Okay.
Do not get counter detected.
Okay.
Jeff's focusing too much on getting his reconnaissance pictures and not enough on evading detection.
My intention now is continue south, close all to carry headlight, and get further reconnaissance at close range.
He's stubbornly determined to stick to his plan.
Think about what your AC just said. He's 1,000 yards away from a hostile warship and just ordered speed for trimming. Is that what you want?
I want to continue south.
Is that what you want? Speed for trimming?
Not good call at the moment. 6 knots.
Correct. Speed for trimming is not the right call, is it?
6
You
knots.
want to take charge. You do not want to...
Revolution 2-4.
He finally relents.
Gents with the 23 loitering at slow speed in the TSS at this vicinity. Do you want to compromise the next tasking and push up the SOA too high? Therefore, the intention is to boil out to starboard towards the next tasking. AC? Thank you, sir.
Monmouth's strategy has worked, forcing Jeff to abandon his reconnaissance mission.
We put ourselves straight in the way of transmitting, and they haven't been able to get round. Couldn't achieve what they wanted. So, at which point,
Jobs are good in there.
You have probably ruined their day.
Good.
So
Okay.
far.
But Monmouth's not finished with them yet. American Dan, still smarting from his misadventure with the trawler, takes over as duty captain for the day's final mission. Oily is his attack coordinator.
Okay, all positions, my concern is that with the Merlin circling our position, we've been visually counter-detected. He may inform the Type 23 operating in the area. All positions, watch for possible zigs on Type 23. Carry on.
I haven't got it yet.
But despite Dan's best efforts, they've been detected.
Oscar, Oscar, Oscar.
Both ship and helicopter are locked on their target for a coordinated attack.
I haven't got it yet.
Okay, that is a Merlin coming straight towards our position. He undoubtedly counter-detected us at that point.
Range?
About 200 yards.
200 yards, I...
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bloodhound loose.
Engage. Cobra engage. SCSWD, stand by, Cobra bearing.
I think they're charges.
Okay.
Okay, revolutions.
Wait. Wait. Voice splash you've heard.
We've heard 2 buoy splashes down 148.
Yeah, they haven't gone active on you.
No, we
They're
didn't.
unlikely, the helo's unlikely to put passive buoys in, really.
Just about to say, I've just been chatting to the sound room. There's nothing gone active, possible charges.
It's game over. Triumph has been hit by 2 simulated torpedoes. If this were for real, there would be 130 lives and one £500 million submarine lost.
Inshore navigation is not meant to be easy.
There's a somber air on board as the students reflect on what went wrong. It's been a poor first day of inshore ops. And tomorrow, the pressure will be even greater, as the perishers must perform in front of some very important guests. "5 a.m. The start of what may prove to be the students' most challenging day so far. A group of senior naval VIPs is on its way to assess how they are progressing. If a student lets down teacher today, it could well be his last.
VIPs didn't add any pressure in the fact that they are VIPs themselves. The added pressure is that 2 of them are very experienced submariners.
Each of the students has their own coping strategy, while Jeff is tense and focused.
Morning, how are you?
Filthy is, as usual, playing it down.
Yeah, they'll come and have a look at us, but you know, they've got other agendas as well, so I'm not wildly concerned about it.
Once the VIPs have been fed mortared, the training program resumes with a second day of inshore ops.
All positions, we've got 15 minutes to this time-sensitive target. We've also got this new contact on fin on ship.
First up in command, English Dan's task is to take intelligence pictures of the Ailsa Craig lighthouse in the middle of the Irish Sea without being detected or running aground. He needs to respond to Jim's criticism that his command style is too cold. For him, it's a very different story.
You can't help but naturally get excited when you're driving a submarine towards land. But then at some point, you just need to compose yourself, compose the team, and start driving them around. So sometimes you're sort of fighting internally with your own emotions and also sort of trying to wrestle with everyone else's to keep them focused. So I'm driving across, I'm not putting any dots.
As well as assessing Dan's performance, the VIPs are here to pass on their wisdom.
To be a good commander, you must understand your people. You must understand their limitations, their aspirations and their excesses. You must try and encourage the first and limit the latter. But without knowing your people, you'll never command well.
Right, go up on him. If he's not altered, then straight onto Ailsa Craig, ready for the take.
Have a clear view of the structure, has no unusual activity, appears to be exactly as in the Coast Pilot.
Yeah, GOP and Ops, I want you to work on get me a TI, GOP, keep the LOP running, hit a crossover range. I want to know how much these transmissions are moving.
Still a little frosty with his crew, Dan's self-assured commands impress the VIPs.
Nothing visual down that bearing. There's nothing visual in South Harbour. It looks like the 23 is moving in there. Okay.
Jeff takes over command for the next task, which is to drop reconnaissance sensors across the mouth of a harbour. Today, he's decided to make it his priority to evade the threat of detection from above.
We can conduct this at 30 metres, entirely happy. We don't need to put the mast back up again. Go down to 30 metres, do the sensor light at 30 metres.
See 30 metres?
Yeah, let's not risk having detection, okay?
To minimize the risk of detection, he's planning to launch the reconnaissance sensors without raising the periscope.
All position duty AC. Change your plans, conducting the sensor drop at 30 metres. The ship will be going to 30 metres. Carry on.
Okay. Over to you, navigator. Continuous reports, good work on the exosander.
As navigator, Oily must make sure they don't run aground in these shallow harbour waters.
Okay, it's the edge of Holy Island.
Okay.
Time for some VIP interference.
How are you justifying being at 30 metres?
52.
Because I can take stuff.
Don't answer me now. You need to think about it. When a question is asked, generally an element of doubt is introduced into the student's mind. When you're in command, circumstances come along that make you question and think about what you're doing, and they need to have that experience so they can understand how they're going to react and what they need to do to be effective.
Despite Paul's questioning, Jeff resists the pressure to change his mind.
So as the commanding officer of your submarine, are you content? So you're putting yourself in that place. That brown line there, so it's 65, that's what
Yes. He sticks to his guns, and the sensors are deployed from 30 meters.
All positions, duty captain, that's good work on getting the sensor lay complete. The priority now is evasion and continue our passage up to the north, that's all.
This time it looks like Jeff's stubbornness has paid off.
Food for thought.
Right, come on, quick.
Next under the microscope is Filthy. Of the 5 students, he still seems the most relaxed about the VIP presence.
All positions,
But enemies are closing in. Once again, the Merlin is actively looking for the submarine to prevent Filthy taking more reconnaissance pictures.
We've dropped a sonar buoy on top of that position, and it's an active sonar buoy, so we're now going to look at the contact using that to see if we can force the submarine to do anything if it is it.
No search! No search! Helo visual, right on that bearing, high, transiting from left to right. We'll wait for a further 1 minute for him to open.
196. All positions, duty captain, we've got the helo in a dip. Ahead of us, stood in FM mode, looking up into the shallow water. He's possibly in contact. My priority now is to evade from this contact. Standard reports.
But while Filthy has identified the threat, he hasn't given any clear orders what he plans to do about it. And everyone's left guessing.
Yeah, got it. How long?
It's not gone unnoticed.
5 minutes for Jim.
Right, you've just briefed it's your priority to evade.
Yes, sir.
And we're pontificating, fanning around, waiting to get shot. Do not get transfixed by the next event and hugging the coast because that's nice, because the next bloke won't have to worry about it. You need to evade, you need to evade. All right?
Some people are unable to demonstrate all the attributes necessary for teacher and myself to be satisfied that they're going to go on to be those safe and effective commanding officers that we need.
Despite the warnings, with the Monmouth and Merlin almost directly above, Filthy makes a potentially catastrophic decision.
See mode of the 8-9 transmissions. Out of the turn. Set up the 23. Do the take.
He's going to risk blowing the sub's cover by raising the periscope to take his reconnaissance photo.
We need to get this all round looking, get the take, and then get out of here.
Take.
Full lighthouse, black superstructure, black top on it, oblong building, again white, no unusual military activity or anything else.
Jim and Paul are not impressed.
A target set up on the 23, followed by photographs for the reconnaissance.
Followed by a torpedo. So what's just happened, do you think?
We're going to be dead then, aren't we? Stupid thing to do. Okay, so learn from it. Right? You don't wave periscopes around when there's a warship coming closing you, and you see a helo. You knew it was there. If you must put the mast back, at least look down, bearing. All right, and then put the mast down and go.
Yeah.
Lesson learned.
Lesson learned, sir. Right.
To be a submariner, this requires some specific technical abilities, and one is to be able to maintain spatial awareness when all you're able to see of the world is through a small periscope. And we have had instances where very technical officers and capable officers just haven't been able to deal with that problem of spatial awareness, and they've failed the course.
Under this intense pressure, Filthy approaches the end of his stint in the hot seat a lot less happy than when he started. And the whole crew know it.
Right, there's a lot of chatter building his control room. We've got a helay searching for us. I'm trying to evade from it. Keep it down.
It's 7 p.m. At the end of a day during which he's acted as attack coordinator and navigator, it's finally Oiley's turn to take the captain's chair under the VIP's gaze. He's got the night shift. A submarine never sleeps. An uneventful night ends with dramatic news the following morning. The real captain of the submarine, Rob Dunn, has retaken command.
The submarine surfaces quite quickly, and during that, one of our indicator buoys has popped off, operated correctly. HMS Monmouth, our escort, and opposition picked up the emergency distress signal from it. They've subsequently found it, so we alerted the authorities. We were on the surface anyway, and we're now heading back into Faslane.
Although it's deployed accidentally, and the submarine is not in immediate danger, for safety reasons, the indicator buoy must be replaced as soon as possible. The journey back to Faslane gives the students time to take stock.
Getting stuck in and doing all those things that we've done in the trainer over the last few months. So to actually do it with a real submarine was a bit of a thrill.
Particularly enjoyed the inshore stuff, and found that challenging, but an awful lot of fun. So yeah, I'm very, very pleased to be this far and get this far.
It's worth taking the pressure, it's worth taking a little bit of the abuse and living with the discomfort of the growing process, so that whenever I have command of my own submarine, that I'll be better for it.
But at the halfway point in the course, how does Jim feel they're doing?
First inshore weekend, fair in parts, pretty bad in others. If all is not going well, don't slump in a chair and look dejected. We all do it, it's natural. You've got to get over that as a captain. That's the time to give a decent DCO's brief when it's going wrong. Come on fellas, you're better than this. Let's get stuck in there. It's not just about shouting at them.
Captain in the tower.
About to end their visit, the VIPs are also underwhelmed.
I think they're a little behind the curve that I would expect them to be on. I would expect them to be showing a little bit more finesse about the way they go about their business.
I would say that some of the moments have been poor with significant shortcomings.
Back in port, as Jim returns to his office to work his way around the holdup, there's yet another crisis looming. This time, one of the students is at the root of it.
Okay.
HMS Triumph is back in Faslane for repairs. After a 2-day wait, a new buoy has now been found, and she's due to sail within hours.
Fingers crossed. Jobs are good and we're good to go. Couple of hours time, we'll be away again. Out that way, sinking skimmers. All good. Well, I don't know. If it is drilled at an angle, it is good.
But nothing's simple on a £500 million submarine.
I'm going to go into these little holes here. Fortunately, that hole is in the wrong place. That hole should be about there.
Or cheap. The £30,000 lid doesn't fit over the £78,000 buoy.
Watch yourself, chappy. We're going to take that to the workshop and build it up, like I say, and then we're going to take about 2 or 3 inches off that end. But until we get it to the workshop, we can't actually tell you exactly what we're going to do.
I think put it back another hour.
I'm going to go for a tea.
It's like a new car coming out of a garage. Sometimes there are little things that go wrong with that. and you just have to overcome them.
But as well as working around technical hitches, Jim's been hit by a fresh bolt out of the blue.
Lieutenant Commander Ragg asked to see me in the captain's cabin, which usually indicates there is a problem. Indeed, that was the case. He informed me there and then that he didn't wish to continue with the rest of the course.
After 9 years on submarines and 3 months of intensive training, this would have been no easy decision for Oily.
Certainly a 50-50 candidate at the beginning of the course, but really making very sound progress and making the transition that I was looking for from watch leader to commanding officer.
Despite Jim's encouraging words, it seems the route to submarine command is not for Oily.
I've had an opportunity now that I've been at sea to, as a process student, to see from the other side. Yes. Ultimately, I've withdrawn myself from submarine command course and therefore I failed.
All the best. All right, keep in touch. Hopefully you get a decent job out of it.
Thanks very much.
For one of them to suddenly say, that's it, that's enough, I want to walk, when they're making such good progress, is a little depressing.
See you later, mate. Cheers, mate. Bye.
Now I'm going to go see you.
It's a shock for the other students too.
And we'll show this.
He was kind of the calming influence amongst us, you know, nothing seemed to faze him. He seemed quite relaxed and calm. And I personally will miss that because I really enjoyed working with him. I learned a lot from him, and I learned a lot from how he went about his business. So I'll be sorry to see him go.
I miss his sense of humour, miss his calming influence, but actually, he's him going is another 20% workload on all of us.
That's Perisher over. His career progression within the submarine service is finished.
Oily has since left the submarine service for a posting elsewhere in the Navy. Back on the quayside, there's some better news. Triumph is finally ready to go.
Yeah, modified the new lids, and hopefully that's us ready to rock and roll, like I say. Job good. Cheers, boys.
With millions invested in training new submarine commanders, Jim is eager for all his students to stay on and pass. But that doesn't mean he's going to make life any easier for the remaining 4.
There are a couple at the moment that are showing early signs that they can do it, and there's a couple that have still got to make that transition, but there's still a way to go. We are still at very early stages of the sea phase, so they've still got just over 2 weeks to prove to me that they can achieve their goal.
Next time, stormy seas for the 4 remaining students.
Getting a bit rougher.
All-out warfare in the Royal Navy's largest training exercise.
It's going to get real busy. It's going to be fun.
Above, maritime patrol aircraft. Below, a deadly duel with enemy submarines.
Underwater comms audible.
Fire!
It's not as easy as you think it is.
Filthy and American Dan finally start getting it right.
Well, you have just successfully engaged HMS Turbulence at 2200.
Romeo. Jeff goes through 48 hours of hell.
Are you happy with the performance of it? We'll sort it out then.
I'm here to be captain of a nuclear submarine, and I'm finding that challenging.
And teacher Jim finally loses patience with super cool English Dan.
You haven't generated any enthusiasm whatsoever in this watch. That is your job.
Who could be next to fall foul of the Perisher?
We'll find out next Tuesday at 8 when Submarine School continues. Tomorrow night at 9 here on Channel 5, we've got some pretty impressive telly. One man embarks on the most terrifying and awesome of adventures to walk the entire length of the Amazon. Seeing is believing. Don't miss it. Next tonight, the season finale of NCIS.